account.
Welcome, friends, and thank you for looking at our podcast today, the Optimal Health Program. I'm sitting here laughing with Frankie, as I usually do before we start the show, and we're looking through different dogs on the internet. I have this odd idea that I need to have another dog. It's like dog fever, like people get tattoos, they keep getting tattoos. I mean, it's sort of a different thing. I'm not really a tattoo person, but I have, as many people know, I have two great dogs. Zeus is a big German Shepherd. He's about 8 years old. And Delilah is an even bigger St. Bernard, and she's just the ultimate sweetheart dog. And she's about 2 years old, but she's about 160 or so pounds. So I don't know why I'm looking at getting another dog, and I like big dogs, not really little dogs.
He likes big dogs, and he cannot lie.
Exactly. My sisters both have little dogs. My sister Gabrielle has got a little pug, just like the Men in Black movie, adorable little pug, Stella. And my other sister Dominique had a fox terrier, Olive, that lived to like 17 and a half years.
They get up there.
But a gorgeous little dog. And she used to, whenever she'd see me, she'd run at me, jump like 4 feet in the air. I'd catch her and hold her in my arm. Of course, now I'm looking at other dogs, and I don't know. My friend Mike introduced me to someone yesterday. I had a little conversation on the phone out in L.A., and she rescues dogs, and she has all sorts of things, including, cane corsos, which I think are a little bit scary.
Apparently, they're the sweetest.
I know.
They don't look it, though.
Yeah, I mean, they look like, people look at them and they like freak out. So there's a dog called Leon Burger that's beautiful. It's a big, lion-like dog. Newfoundland are big, beautiful dogs. Caucasian Shepherd are giant, beautiful dogs. And I don't know, maybe a male St. Bernard. But I don't know, it's just...
You can't go wrong with any of them, Doc.
Yeah, it's just for some reason, it's like, maybe I need to get another dog. So we'll see what happens.
This next dog has to be in line with the other two.
Oh, absolutely.
You can't go...
So I know the next dog's name already. Of course, it's going to be Samson. Samson and Delilah. And Zeus. And if I were to get another dog and it was female, I have to call it Hera, because Hera was Zeus's wife. You've got to be consistent with, with all of that. At any rate, yeah, I love dogs. I love animals. I mean, I like cats are cool. They're just a little...
I was walking the dog this morning, and someone was walking their cat, and it was very weird to see.
Someone walk a cat?
Yeah.
Really? On a leash?
Yes. I was like, this is something I feel like I'm not supposed to see. It seems wrong.
Cats are cool, but they don't have the personality that dogs have, I believe. So I'm certainly a dog person. And, a good friend of mine, John, he's had 3 or 4 Chihuahuas. And they're cute little dogs. And every time I go over to his apartment, they would just jump on my lap and we would watch TV, and they just wouldn't leave me alone. I guess dogs like me maybe as much as I like them. But we'll see what happens. When I decided to get a dog to be a companion for Zeus, and I saw this beautiful big male St. Bernard named Moses, I was like, wow, look at that dog. How majestic. And I went to see this dog, and the woman was like a tiny little petite woman. I'm like, how does she hold that dog back if the dog decides to lunge or something? But it was an unbelievably, perfectly mannered dog, and the dog came right over to me, tilted his head, and kind of leaned up against me. I'm like, oh, my God, I've got to get this dog. And I bought Delilah. She was very small. I could hold her in one arm, and then all of a sudden, she's gigantic, and, I can barely even pick her up. But dogs are good people. That's what I'll say. So we have a lot of cool stuff to talk about today. I finally have a new website set up for the Stem Cell Foundation. We've been treating wounded veterans with traumatic brain injury and post-traumatic stress disorder for many years, probably over a dozen years, with some really wonderful results. The videos are on my website. They're also on the podcast. You can see a few of the different guys that we've treated. And, I think we have a few more people coming in this week that are veterans. And the first gentleman, one of the first rounds of gentlemen we treated, Josh, he did a great video. And he did so well that he was unable to function really before, and went to law school a couple of years ago. Now he refers a lot of the veterans to me. So we're working with some of the veterans organizations because they raise the money for the veterans, and we're trying to raise money as well on the foundation to be able to treat as many of the veterans as we can. So there are many thousands of them that need this therapy. Consistently, there have been medical recommendations and drugs and surgery and all sorts of things for the veterans. But as they can tell you, and as I've learned, those things really don't work. But putting brand new cells intravenous and dripping them into your brain can make their brain repair by leaps and bounds. So it's a wonderful mechanism, and it creates strength, stability, improved memory, mood, all sorts of wonderful things. And you could read on that. So the website is thestemcellfoundation.com, if I'm correct. thestemcellfoundation.com. And Anthony, a gentleman who works for a friend of mine, Sam, did a beautiful job at making the website and the brochure. And the colors are just perfect. So I tried to start this a couple of years back, right before COVID, and I hired someone to go around to all the big corporations to try to raise money. I'm not a fundraising person, although I've gone to 1 million of them. I've never done it myself, so I'm pretty much starting this. But the beauty of this is that all the proceeds go to treating the veterans. As I say, we also have one of the veterans I treated. His video is on the podcast and the website, who's a retired judge. And he goes down to D.C. every week, and he works with the veterans and a variety of these really great people. And he wants me to create a white paper with all the research on stem cell therapy for post-traumatic stress and traumatic brain injury, so we can pass it along to people that are in the right level or position to be able to give us some guidance and to help us, and maybe the government will step up and do something and pay for a variety, or I would love to see them pay for all the veterans, because veterans have not been cared for appropriately over the course of many, many years in a variety of other, administrations. So that being said, thestemcellfoundation.com, you can see some great information there. Also, do we have a QR code on the website or just on the brochure? Maybe just on the brochure.
I think on the brochure, but I'll get that for our next show.
Yeah, we'll get that set up for you so you can go right to it and see it. And we can split screen it. We'll leave it up there so people can see it. Okay, so we're ready to take some calls, questions, ideas, recipes if you're a good cook.
You got the Chihuahua, the Chihuahua owners are in the chat saying
the Chihuahua contingent.
They have a bad rep, so they appreciate your words.
No, honestly, I don't think Chihuahuas have a bad rep. I mean, maybe some people don't like them. I think they're adorable. And they're just, kind of like sweet dogs. They yap a lot, but little dogs yap a lot. Kind of hold them in your hand and, could hang out with them, play with them. Different than a big dog, like Delilah sometimes when I'm sitting on the couch and watching TV. She'll jump up and, lay down on me. It's like, geez, she's heavy. And her head weighs like a ton. And when I sit in the morning after I get dressed and ready to go to work, I'll have a cup of coffee. She'll just lay underneath the table. She likes being under in enclosed spaces and lays her big heavy head on my foot. And as soon as my foot goes numb, I got to switch and put the other foot under there, But she always wants to be in contact with me, which is adorable.
Doctor, what are some early warning signs of burnout people tend to ignore?
Great question. Burnout is something that affects more people than traditional medicine would be likely to want to answer or describe. And because burnout doesn't have a cluster of drugs that they can use for it, it's not a hot topic for the drug companies. But I see this all the time. And unfortunately, and probably within the past few years, the environment is such that people have to work twice as hard to still make a couple of bucks. They have issues traveling back and forth to work. Everything's more expensive. The commute's more expensive, etc. Stress in the workplace just keeps building up, so people become tired, irritable, achy. They have problems with focus, concentration, memory loss, indigestion, bloating, any muscle aches and pains. It could be any number of weird symptoms that, come as a result of being, under a significant amount of stress over a period of time. And in that same vein, no pun intended, people seem to have a decline in their hormones. Maybe they're not taking vitamins, don't have time to exercise, so they're kind of losing on all grounds. As we do the blood test and we look at vitamins, minerals, and hormones, start to correct them, people start to feel better. They have better mood because the hormones and vitamins are better, specifically thyroid, DHEA, testosterone, IGF-1, NAD, peptide, etc. So as we put things back to where they were 15 or 20 years ago, people start to feel better. As they do the exercise and they're flooding the cells with vitamins, minerals, hormones, and oxygen, you feel better. And then you tend to keep doing it because it makes you feel so good. But there's so many things to be aggravated about now. And I tell people, don't watch the news. Don't listen to these idiots. Why would you watch the news? It's all sort of slanted into one direction, one way. You're not getting truth or reality. And all it is aggravating. It's tabloid. And they tell you what they want you to hear, and it may not be anywhere near what reality or the truth is. So don't watch the news. Watch something else. Watch something fun and exciting like Swamp People. Watch them trap alligators.
And someone in the chat's making a good point. It's like after COVID, still listening to all these pundits that like claim to be doctors that are just like, shelling for big pharma. It's just amazing that
it's horrible.
And people still believe it.
And I like Pierce Brosnan, and I think he's a great actor. Except he kind of got on an interview and was talking about, injectables and climate change, and it's man-made, and it's no. He's just categorically wrong, but someone's paying him, to talk the talk.
Pierce Brosnan?
Yeah, I saw it. I'm like, I hope that was, and it wasn't AI because you can see how he's aged and such, but I just hate when people of celebrity start to make you want to listen to their opinion and their ideas. It's like, hey, I'll make my own decision. I'll gather a lot of information, as I've always done, and I'll make my decision based upon that. Not listen to some idiot politician or actor or actress, and I don't really comment on things.
It almost seems like they go for those people.
I had to comment on it. I said, oh, yeah, really nice. You're living in your make-believe actor world, and now you should tell everybody else, what to do and what to think.
Yeah.
Make-believe world, real world. I don't know.
Yeah, and they always pick the actors that play like the nice, the big alpha guy who,
Of course. Everything on
007.
TV. I had a conversation once with a young lady and a couple of people once. I said, TV is not reality, right? Like, what are you talking about? People are acting there. Everything is I said, it's not reality. I've seen it. I've been behind cameras watching them film it where it's scripted, and everything you see on TV is so curated perfectly to make that show and that comment and that woman or the man act in a certain way that grabs your interest. It's tabloid. If they just did a regular show and people weren't prompted as to how to be engaging or how to be nefarious or ridiculous, you wouldn't watch the show. And remember, it's millions and millions of dollars put into these shows to become successful, and that's what creates that. So please don't look at these shows and think that that's reality. It's manipulated, expensive, curated information. That's why I don't watch that crap.
Sorry to all our Bravo viewers.
Well, there are a lot of things on TV to watch. And there are a lot of things on Netflix and the other streaming things to watch. So watch something that stimulates your mind, not tries to brainwash you.
Couldn't agree. Wow. Beautifully said, Doc. Needs to be screamed from the rafters.
That's right.
Everything's brain rot.
Don't get brainwashed. And trust me, the CIA has been doing that in a variety of ways for many, many years. There's even some comment about people, operatives being on set, on scene, with programs to make it sound and to be a certain way. I wouldn't doubt it. Mind control, MK Ultra, all of that stuff.
It's all been verified.
Yep.
At this point, it's just like, what are we talking about? All right. Are there habits people think are healthy that actually aren't, Doc?
Good question. I'm not sure that freezing yourself in ice water is a great idea or freezing yourself in a chamber is a great idea, because there are some people who should not do that if they've got cardiac issues, because narrowing your blood vessels in the cold would decrease, blood flow to your heart or to your brain or elsewhere where you don't want blood flow to decrease. Yeah, people randomly do these fads and think that, it's a great idea to do this or do that. Too much heat would not be helpful for some people, and too much cold wouldn't be helpful. I think the whole idea behind the alkaline water is a potential risk. And to some extent, people that are going for these blood cleaning procedures, I don't know that there's enough information out about the safety of them and who's doing them and who is trained to do them. I think if you're extracting blood, running it through a machine, and then putting it back, yeah, you might be taking bad stuff out, but what if you drop your magnesium and potassium and have an arrhythmia or a heart attack? I think that happened to someone that I know, a very dear friend. So eat right, exercise, get your blood tests done, watch your vitamins, your hormones. Don't go for these crazy things, because I think they're more dangerous than they are beneficial.
Doctor, every afternoon around like 2 or 3 o'clock, I completely crash. I'm not talking tired. I feel useless. What can be causing this?
So one of the more common things that I've found over all of these years is that, depending upon what you have for lunch, if you have too much carb for lunch, your body will see your blood sugar go up, will dump extra insulin, knock your sugar down, and you're wiped out. Anxious, irritable, panic attacks can occur. So you have to look at how much carb you're having at lunchtime. And this is a real thing. I've tested this a million ways to Sunday. Not only can you just talk about it and I can understand exactly what's happening, but there are people where we've done 4-hour glucose tolerance tests so that we're looking at them coming in fasting. We check their sugar. We give them something that's got a lot of sugar in it, a liquid. And then we check their sugar for the half, 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour, and 4 hour. And a lot of people that are producing a lot of insulin, they just drop out at 4 hours or 3 hours. Or their sugar never gets a chance to go up a little bit, which it should, to 140 or so, 150, because they're producing insulin all the time. So that shows us a lot of good information. Some people eat a food they're allergic to and can have a reaction to it. So it really depends upon the mechanism. I think people are more susceptible when they have a lot of carb for breakfast and then carb for lunch, so it's a double whammy, and your body sees all that sugar and gets a little scared and makes too much insulin. Insulin resistance plays a role, so there's a lot that revolves around that. There are also people that take thyroid, and I've kind of figured this out over the years, and they take it first thing in the morning, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, and by the time 4 o'clock comes around, the thyroid's already gone. So you test them in the afternoon at 4 o'clock, their thyroid could be low. So let's say, for sake of discussion, you test them in the morning, their blood work shows, oh, look, your thyroid's low. T3 or T4 are low, TSH is high. Doctor gives them a morning dose, but that dose doesn't have to last 24 hours. So for some people where we send them to an outside lab and test them at 4 or 5 o'clock, and the thyroid's low again, we split dose and give them some thyroid in the morning, some thyroid in the afternoon. That could be important. Same thing with DHEA, and possibly same thing with testosterone, IGF-1, the active component of growth hormone. So the blood test really gives us a good look at that. Viruses can do it. So it's easy to pick that up on our good blood test.
Someone's just mentioning how they never used to be anxious after drinking coffee, but in recent years, she feels very anxious and just wondering what's changing in her body.
Well, her ability to tolerate the caffeine. Some people drink so much caffeine every day that it kind of stores in their body, and after a while, they start to have palpitations, irritability, anxiety, and that could also affect your sugar fluctuations. So for a lot of people, we tell them, do a bit of a washout of all the caffeine. Instead of having 5 cups a day, go down to 4, 3, 2, 1, over time, and try to get it out of your system and see how much better you feel without it.
Is it normal to wake up in the middle of the night every single night around the same time? 2 o'clock is my bewitching hour.
Not really. Your body should get good, deep REM sleep. And again, not to beat a dead horse, but a lot of people have something sweet before they go to bed. They'll have carb, a little bit of ice cream. They'll have cookies and milk or whatever. Uncrustables, those peanut butter and jelly things. Not to say that I didn't enjoy a peanut butter and jelly sandwich when I was a youngster.
There was about a 6-month period where Uncrustables had a grilled cheese version. Oh.
It's comfort food, man. It just brings you back to the early days.
Oh, yeah.
So those people that have something to eat at night before they go to bed, if it's carb or sugar or something, you're going to tend to wake up in the middle of the night. I tell people if you want to have something that tastes good and, might taste a little sweet, have a sugar-free protein shake. You put some berries in it, or a yogurt, put some berries in it. The Forager Project plain yogurt's only a gram of carbs, so that's nothing. You put some berries in it, put it in a blender, mix it up, and you taste sweet. You're getting yogurt. You can put a little protein in there, but, a good plant-based, sugar-free protein powder. And have something which will sustain you, but it's not going to drop your sugar. Then there are people who get these ideas. I have a smoothie first thing in the morning. And then I say, okay, and I'm supposed to understand what they put in their smoothie compared to everybody else. So what do you put in it? Oh, it's a smoothie. I'm like, yeah, I get the consistency part of it. What's in it? Oh, well, I put yogurt in there, and the yogurt has berries. If you have yogurt that already has berries in it, there's a lot of sugar in there. I'm not saying you can't have yogurt. Just have the cashew milk yogurt. It's drinkable. It's 1 gram of carb per 8 ounces. Put some berries in there that are from the market, so they're not all sugar loaded. But they'll have the yogurt with the berries in it. Could be 40 grams of carb just from that. We'll put in banana, this, that, and, a pinch of greens, et cetera. And all they're really doing is eating a super high carb drink, which you don't want. It'll make you hungry all day, make you irritable, anxious when your sugar drops. So,
just on that, someone's wondering, if you blend things together for a smoothie, does it make it harder for your body to take in? And
no.
Okay.
So the thinner a liquid, the easier you're absorbing. So water, obviously, with vitamins allows them to be absorbed faster. If it's a smoothie, it's a little thicker, but everything will be absorbed, and your body will take from it what it wants, and what it needs. And you'll get your absorption,
I can relate to this. My joints crack constantly, but nothing really hurts. Is that actually bad or just one of those things?
They've said that when you crack or pop your joints, you're pulling nitrogen into the joint, from a vacuum-like effect. Some people that like to do it a lot, I think they're going to have wear and tear in their joint. I've seen that. People have their knuckles a little bit too big or their ligaments are a little bit lax. And sooner or later, they develop a problem and can develop pain from it. So it's not a great idea.
Oh, it's time for our ad break, Doctor.
It is.
Have a little ad.
Okay, let's see what it's about.
The audience.
Sounds good. You're up.
I'm up, baby. All right. Hold on. All right. We hear a lot about crypto, but here's the part most people miss. Crypto was created so you could actually own and control your money. After the 2008 financial crisis, Bitcoin was designed as an alternative to banks, so instead of a bank holding your money, delaying transfers, or limiting access, you're in control. And if you've ever had to wait for a transfer to clear, you felt that problem. Now, fast forward to today, everyone's heard of crypto, but getting started still feels complicated. That's exactly why I use Rumble Wallet. It takes all that complexity and makes it simple. Choose what you want: Bitcoin, dollar-backed stablecoin, or even digital gold backed by real gold. No complicated setup. It connects with MoonPay so you can use your credit card, debit card, or bank and be up and running in minutes. Once you're set up, you can even support your favorite Rumble creators like me directly or Dr. Chris. So do this now. Scan the QR code or click the link in the description and download Rumble Wallet. From there, you can set up your wallet, tap buy, and you're in the game. In just a few minutes, you can go from hearing about crypto to actually owning some. And we're off.
Cool idea. So I was never really sure about crypto for the longest time. I'm like, what's this all about? So I bought a little bit of it, let it move around a little bit, went up. And then I belonged to a club upstate with a lot of super wealthy people. It's a, mountain club, hunting club, that sort of thing. You shoot clays and all. And one of the most famous people, which will go nameless, that's up there, I had a chat with one day. He was talking about that a good percent of his portfolio is in crypto. I'm like, really? If this guy likes it and believes in it, and I said, well, then I'm all for it. So I think it makes sense. I like not having the banks be control of everything. I don't like the banks that much.
A little diversity,
Yep.
We're still, the chat's back to I have a picky eater Yorkie, 2 pounds, 9 ounces, but she gobbled up my beef liver leftovers today. 2 pounds, 9 ounces. That's a cute little doggy.
Yeah, cute little cutie. Yeah, dogs love to have all sorts of different things, and I'm not sure how good some of the food is, unless it's organic and really healthy and blah, blah, blah. Like I'll go out to Moolah Farms and I'll buy a little chicken, and it's delicious. I'll put it in the air fryer, and of course when I have it in the air fryer, the dogs go bonkers over the smell, because although I have a big nose, both of my dogs have much bigger noses and have much better smelling ability. And then I'll just let it cool down and give them some chicken, and it's organic and it's great. So they love it. I think they learned about getting a little topper on their dog food from their cousin Olive down in Florida, because Olive always wants a little topper on her food. So when she would come over and stay and get a topper, my dogs look at me like,
what the heck?
What does she get a topper and I don't have anything? So, of course, I had to oblige.
I put Parmesan on my dogs a few times. Just to
yeah,
get
a little
them
this,
away.
little that. Yeah, no, they like it. Some like olive oil. Some like flax oil, which is good for their coat. Some like some egg, chicken. So I don't go crazy. I just give them healthy stuff. And when I brush their coat, and Delilah's a long hair, Zeus is a long hair, it's like peeling off a sweater. There's so much hair, with that brush. And I take it and I walk outside, I drop it, off of the edge of the deck. And since I've been doing that for years now, we have no squirrels and no other animals, raccoons or otherwise, possum, anywhere near the property, because they smell the dog's hair. It's a good trick.
And we're going to have a business going pretty soon. Why does my heart randomly race sometimes, even when I'm sitting still?
So it's usually an imbalance in minerals, magnesium, potassium, calcium. That could happen. There's an action potential where the nerve fires and then has to take some time to reset, and calcium's involved in that, magnesium, potassium in the firing, etc. But most people have never had a red blood cell, magnesium, potassium, calcium test done. So when we do that, we just get a better picture. It's more accurate than regular serum minerals, and we try to increase that so that they don't end up with those episodes. Some people might have it from heavy metal exposure. Some could have it from too much caffeine. So it really depends.
It's funny. Someone's talking in the chat how ever since you mentioned to only drink wine that's DOC or...
yeah.
It's changed their life. They haven't had a hangover since.
Yeah, I mean, so, I've been around wine my entire life because my parents both loved to have a glass or two of wine at dinner. And, they did extremely well. They lived very long lives and very long, happy lives. The one time I decided to make wine because, you've got this Italian gene. You're supposed to have a garden and make wine and do all these things and listen to Italian music. So I went to a place in Glen Cove. This little old man, he had to be 130 at the time, would have all the crushed grapes, and you could get the grapes in these big containers, these big vats, like a big, I don't know how many gallon container with a little nipple on top, and he put the yeast in there for you, and you would determine what you wanted depending upon what the outcome. If you wanted a nice full-bodied red, you would buy this one or that one or white, whatever. So I said, let me do this. The family's coming over this weekend. And back in the day in the 90s when my family was coming over, the early 2000s, every weekend, because they just loved to come out and hang out and eat and drink and cook and all that. I made the homemade wine, and it had the stuff that I already had, had been in the container for a while, so I just started to, pour it and serve it. It was so strong that, and my mom and dad and my aunts and uncles could have 3 or 4 glasses of wine easily. They share bottles, and I've had no problem. Even in Europe, where the wine is not necessarily as heavy, you can go to town. So my mom had like 2, 3 glasses, maybe probably 2 glasses. And then we couldn't find her. We're like, where'd she go? Looked outside, looked inside. She was asleep near the fireplace in my living room. She had the second glass of wine. Glass was empty, and she was out cold because the strength of the wine with homemade wine is really, really strong compared to regular wine. So always have to keep that in mind. But your best wines are the ones that are rigidly tested, evaluated, and go through a certain process. That's why the DOC and DOCG label on the wine determines that that's, some of the best. And then when you have the French wines too, the more regions that you have on the label, the better the wine is. Here in America, we have the grape. They have France, Loire Valley, or this or that, and you get down to the vineyard. It's 4 or 5 different places before you get to the vineyard, and that's usually a really good wine. So it could be life-changing.
I got to get back there. I must.
We have to do a show at Anthony's Vineyard one of these days, and we have a few months to be able to figure out when to do that. Maybe the harvest day would be good.
Okay, yeah.
Because it's in October. We should book now to stay at his as a bed and breakfast. And, you go out, and there's a lot of people there because they're all in the wine club. And you cut the grapes off the vine. You work. Get up early and cut the grapes off the vine. You put them in a big basket or a container. Then they take it with this cool little Italian Vespa buggy thing that takes it to the garage. And then they dump it in the device. And this big device crushes the grapes and pushes the stem out with a little bit of an auger out the side into a container where you get rid of the stem or the vine part. And then you keep crushing the grapes and the skins, and you put it into this massive barrel, and you take the cap, which is part of the skins that's still there, floating on top of the grape juice. And it's a whole process, but it's an amazing amount of fun. I've never had so much fun in my whole life. Of course, by the end of the day, you're drinking so much that I fell asleep on a little porch swing. I was like out cold, and I may have been snoring. Maybe it was the dog. Maybe it wasn't me. But you drink a bunch of that wine, you're out cold.
Yeah, we're gonna have to get the filming done early because you give me too many glasses.
Yeah,
we'll
have to do that.
How shaky that video is gonna get, guys.
We'll do a lot of video on the before thing, and then we can just do some of the tasting for the prior wines that are come to maturity afterwards. But it's a lot of fun.
All right, stay tuned, guys. It's coming. Got a question in the wings. I get dizzy when I stand up too fast. Sometimes my eyes get completely dark until I sit down again. Is that dehydration or something?
I mean, it could be dehydration. Therefore, the fluid volume of blood and oxygen, all the good things in there, as you get up too quickly, there's a lag between the time that good column of blood and those nutrients and oxygen get to the brain. So it's like holding it back a little bit, and you get a little woozy and dizzy from that. Just got to get up slowly. Drink a lot of water. Maybe you're dehydrated. Your fluid volume needs to be higher. But you could also be low in iron. You could have low blood count. You could have anemia. I mean, other things can do that, but you got to get your blood checked. That would be important to do.
I'm getting headaches almost every day, but only later at night. What's usually the first thing doctors think about?
Well, good doctors will think about something related to either food reactions, hormone decline. Some people have issues in their neck when they get home from work, or they sit in a chair or lie down or watch TV. And depending upon their pillow, how many pillows they have or pillow placement, sometimes you're cricking your neck and you're going to get headaches from that. So you have to determine, is it a musculoskeletal phenomenon or not? So if I were to examine someone, we tell them, keep your head straight, and I turn their head to the right and left, and they don't have full range of motion, they get stuck over here, it may very well be that there's a musculoskeletal, either muscle spasm or a rotation out of position that we need to stretch and then adjust to get back to full range of motion. So that's a very common cause of headache. Some people are burning up nutrients, and that may do it because they're burning them up all day. Same thing with hormone decline, and same thing with food allergy. So it's not hard to figure out. It's just a matter of looking at blood and the physical exam.
My dog loves Parmesan and olive oil. I love it.
Got to be an Italian dog. Somewhere in the lineage, that dog has to have been or owned by Italians because, and of course Greeks too, and Spaniards love olive oil and good cheese. But I vote for the Italians. So not such a short period of time, I'll be traveling to the homeland. I'll be flying to Italy, Sicily first, to see if I can reconnect with people or connect with people that may be my relatives, and spend, 3 or 4 days in Sicily, Taormina, looking at all the sites. I'll have some really good pictures when I come back. I even bought a little device that you put your phone in, you can go underwater and take pictures.
Oh.
Because I've seen some of the beaches in Italy, and the water is so clear and spectacular, Sicily, that it's unbelievable. So I may do that. Then I'm going to fly from leaving Taormina, go to Catania, fly to Pisa, not really for the tower, but because my friends are renting a villa in Forte dei Marmi, which is a famous place in Italy, and Bocelli lives there. And I'll be driving from Pisa, 20 minutes to Forte dei Marmi, which is like sort of a beach, lovely beach town, and spending my friend's 30th anniversary with them and their kids and a couple of families. Then driving to Rome and just kind of like running around Rome for a couple of days. I want to get some really good, deep visit into the Vatican, the catacombs, all the things that anybody want to see. I have a friend who works there at the Vatican Bank, so I want to get like the serious tour, So I'll bring back a lot of good pictures.
Friends and family only.
Yeah. I'll eat my way through Italy. Like Stanley Tucci does. I'm jealous of that little bald man.
Who's the, I don't know why I'm blanking, but the guy who plays the Gladiator? What's
Russell Crowe?
Russell Crowe. He discusses on a podcast his experience on getting one of those private tours.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to, it's going to.
Yeah, it's a great, he's a character. I think, he might be a little bit awkward when he gets into situations with too many people, but there's a funny story about him being in a hotel, and he left the hotel, walked outside, and there's a million people along the streets who weren't there before. So he went to the cop and said, "What's happening?" And the cop said, "You, gladiatore, are happening. Everyone figured out you're staying at this hotel. Everyone comes to say hello." So there were literally, 15 or 20,000 people in the streets of Rome because they figured out he was there on vacation. And everyone went crazy over him, and he was like blown away, But it's an epic role, epic movie.
He would be great to be on the podcast because I've heard that he owns and lives on a farm.
Yep.
And he creates, he takes care of his own cows, sells his own meat.
Yep.
Oh.
Yep.
He's optimal health right there.
That would be cool. I have to figure that out. I know some people in that industry, so I'm trying to figure out how to reach them. And I had a nice conversation with a lovely young girl who's an actress. And again, name will be withheld until, I speak to her, meet with her, and she wants to talk about stuff she's doing. But she has an animal rescue thing. And that's what I was talking about, some of the other animals. And she was in a really famous movie called Hall Pass or something like that, which I don't remember seeing. But
Never seen Hall Pass? Absolute
I might have
classic.
I might have seen it, but at any rate, yeah, I have the ability to connect with some people. But it'd be fun to interview these people on what they're doing. Maybe we'll do that next weekend. I'll get someone cool to interview.
Yeah. Listen, I'm never opposed. I don't think the chat. Are you opposed? I think they'd be happy with it. So don't get popped in Sicily.
I do like, and I really, really do like. Oh, don't get popped. Yeah, I got to be careful. Not going to wear any jewelry. I'll sit there. I'll have my mean look on my face. I went to a restaurant a week or two ago, and I walked into the restaurant, and the woman said, young girl said, "Boy, you look scary when you walk across the street." I said, "What?" I said, "Me? Moi?" She goes, "Yeah, you have." I said, "I have a scary resting face?" I don't know. Maybe I do. But we spoke for about 15 minutes, and it was hysterical that she thought I was a gangster and blah, 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 and was I a hitman? And, of course, this is a really young girl, hostess at a restaurant, but it was so funny I couldn't stop laughing because no one's ever said that to me before. Well, not the gangster thing because people think I look like a gangster, but that I had this
mean
look on my face. You never know. Could be worse. At least I got noticed.
I got to ask the chat. Does Doctor look intimidating? I mean, it's hard to say when, you know the guy.
True.
I'm a little biased.
There's another funny story. There's a really famous martial arts guy who's pretty much bonkers. And he came to New York because he did a movie and was at a premiere. So I met up with him because he's a patient of mine. And I haven't spoken with him in a while, but he's one of these egotistical people. So I met up with him, and we go out to a restaurant, hotel, bar. And, he walks in, and everybody goes crazy because he's really tall and unbelievably well-known. And it was winter out, so I was wearing, a warm jacket, a heavy jacket, long jacket. And we walked in, sat there. I was standing next to him, and some girl goes over to me, and she said, "When was the last time you used that thing?" I said, "What?" Because I guess it must have been sunglasses or something in my pocket. And she thought I had a gun. I said, "I used it the other day." She goes, "Really?" She goes, "How many people have you killed?" I said, "What? Killed?" She thought I was like a bodyguard or something like that. So occasionally that happens.
Did you whip out the glasses?
And I put them on.
Someone in the chat says, Mary in the chat, he looks as sweet as my puppy.
Ah, thank you. I'll take the sweetness association.
So that's hilarious. A guy I dated said I have a scary face too. How dare they?
It could be worse. You don't want to have a way happy face and, look vulnerable. I'd rather have the mean and angry face.
Yeah. Maybe, don't steal my car, all right?
Yeah, exactly. Don't bother me.
I got this question on YouTube. I eat pretty clean during the week and then completely destroy it on the weekends. Is that undoing everything, or is that my cheat weekend?
To some extent, if you're destroying it, I mean, that's not good. If you're going to do a little bit of something different on the weekend, if you have very low carbs during the week and you're working out, you're doing exercising, eating right, you're really maximizing your health, flooding all the good stuff to all your cells. You don't want to go hog wild and drink and smoke and do all the bad things, but if you ease up on your diet restrictions, you'll be fine. If you have a little bit more carb, yeah, you're fine. But I wouldn't go crazy.
I think The Rock ruined it all for everyone because he would always have his cheat day, and it would be like 30 pancakes, 3 ribeyes. It's like, hey, this guy's on a lot of steroids.
He's on more octane than anybody. I mean, I don't know how much I believe for those people. I will tell you the craziest breakfast I'd ever seen. My friend Eric, who's a doctor buddy of mine who lives in Thailand and with his family. Actually, no, he moved back to Jersey. So he was in Thailand for many years. He used to live in Santa Monica, Venice Beach. I'd go out there and we go to Gold's Gym, the original Gold's Gym in Venice. And you see all these big famous bodybuilders, guys and women, working out. I'm like, wow, they were like 3 times bigger than any other human. There was a place right around the corner called the Firehouse. It was an old firehouse, and they made it into a breakfast, lunch, dinner place, and mostly the bodybuilders would go there for breakfast. They get to the gym at 6, work out for like 3 hours, whatever, and then go eat. And I remember walking, there's a back room that was all closed off only for the bodybuilders. And these guys that were thick as a house, 300-pound plus guys, and 2 guys were sitting at like a long picnic table, extra long table. And there was eggs and bacon and pancakes. There was just so much food. It was like 50,000 calories of food. And these guys were plowing through this food like it was nothing. I'm like, wow. I mean, I like to eat, but not that much. But the amount of exercise they were doing and the volume that they needed to increase their size was crazy.
Insane.
Yeah. Bit too much.
Arnold. He started it.
Arnold, yep. Arnold for the men and Rachel McLeish for the women, who I met a couple times.
Rachel McLeish.
Gorgeous. And she was training back in the day. Gorgeous. Spectacular physique. I mean, couldn't have been a more perfect physique. Sort of like a sculpted body you would imagine someone like Michelangelo would chisel and then bring to life. And she's still very lovely. I saw her at my friend's wedding a few years ago. Beautiful face, Native American, half or 3/4 Native American or something, but wow. She was one of the first, if not the first.
And then there was the one, it's just funny. I always see this lady on Fox, and then I found out that she was the host of The Biggest Loser. What's that girl's name? She's a political pundit now, but then I see a flashback of The Biggest Loser. I'm like, oh, that's where she came from?
Yeah, some of them had some pretty crazy beginnings in TV, and then sort of migrated over and then have become famous in one thing or the other. A lot of people started out doing crazy things.
Jillian Michaels.
Oh, Jillian Michaels, yeah.
Yes.
Weight loss girl.
Yes.
I mean, the political discussions on TV are pretty hot, and, a lot of people like them, It's just weird to have some people that are semi-celebrities give their opinion on stuff. I don't hear anybody else's opinion. I have my own opinion.
Oh, we got some Rachel, is it McLeish?
Rachel McLeish, yeah.
Yes, we
Rachel
got some,
McLeish.
Someone said she inspired me to start lifting.
Yeah, I mean,
back in the 80s.
Literally, she, like Arnold inspired millions and millions of men worldwide, she inspired millions and millions of women worldwide. You can put up her picture, what she looked like back in the day. Interestingly enough, I met her back in the day because I went out to California with my friend Eric. I went to a gym that was like a hidden concierge closed gym. In the gym was Robert Wagner, the actor. So I'm like, oh, cool, like a cool person gym. And then I threw a towel that I had, you put it around your neck, over some piece of equipment. I come back, there are 2 towels there. I'm like, why are there 2 towels here? Then Rachel McLeish comes walking over, says, oh, sorry. And I'm like, hi, how are you? And inside my brain is exploding, going, oh my God. She was just gorgeous, breathtaking. So we chatted for a while and stuff, and it was so cool to hang out with somebody who was such an important part of the women's fitness movement. I mean, she was the first one. So if you'd find some of her early pictures.
I was just scrolling through them, but I don't think I put them up on the screen.
Yeah, she was just unbelievable shape. And then came this wave of every guy wanting to work out after Arnold, hit the scene. And then all the women that want to work out. And some women in the gym today are unbelievable. I joined a very big, famous gym, Bev Francis gym, where a lot of, fitness people and a lot of, hardcore fitness and bodybuilder people go, and it's amazing. Some of these women are in just spectacular shape.
Insane. I don't know which picture would be appropriate for the. I'm trying to think through.
Well,
bras were optional then, I think, during bodybuilding.
Yeah, I mean, you might be able to find one that's tasteful yet explains her physique.
Here we go. And boom.
Yeah. So.
She's got some biceps too.
Oh yeah, no, she was in crazy shape, and even better shape than that. When they would do competitions and stuff. But yeah, she was just, and the nicest down-to-earth person. So a few years later, probably a good amount of years later, she was at my friend's wedding because they were friends. And I walked over to her and I said to her, she did a commercial back in the day, you have to pump before you primp. And she's getting out of a Lamborghini, and of course she's in spectacular shape. And I walked over to her and I said, you have to pump before you primp. And I said, we met, we had a great conversation a few years ago in the gym. She goes, oh, I remember, blah, 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 blah. But really, really, really sweet, which is nice because a lot of people you meet have crazy egos. Who needs the egos?
Chat says, bras are still optional, Frankie, if it's cool enough to wear a jacket. Okay, well, listen, I'm just saying.
Look, fashion is fashion.
I'm not disagreeing.
You can't deny fashion.
I just, I don't want to put up a picture when they're pointing out of the,
Yeah.
Just trying to find something nice,
It's
conservative.
a nice, simple, tasteful picture.
Exactly. That's funny. Someone said, I need more inspiration. I might start watching her. Yeah, people are talking about just getting serious about working out.
So in a perfect world, we look at your vitamins, minerals, hormones. We get that all set up. And then we go through recommendations as to how to work out, what to do. Every day, a half hour of cardio, something indoor, outdoor bike, etc. I've said this a million times. Pilates, yoga, anything. Go to the gym 3 days a week to do light weights, lots of reps. And all of a sudden, people get in really, really good shape and they feel like $1 million. And they thank me profusely. I'm like, no, you're doing all the work. You get the credit for it. I'm just telling you what to do.
From YouTube, I swear my seasonal allergies get worse every single year. Is that actually happening to people, or am I just...
It is happening because there's sort of like a spiraling upward of the allergy counts. It's not like, it goes to 50, this spring, and then it goes away. If there's a lot of rain, then things grow like crazy, which provokes the allergen mechanism with pollen. If there's a lot of rain, then mold obviously happens right after the rain. So there's a lot that occurs to keep pushing up these allergens in the air. For a lot of people, we'll do skin testing to see what their threshold is and use a treatment, whether it's under the tongue or a shot, to get you used to the allergen, but at a dose below your threshold so you don't react to the treatment. And it gets your body used to that allergen so you're not reacting anymore.
You're inspiring, by the way. That's
Thank
what
you.
The chat is saying.
Try to be. I try to say some good stuff so people can grab onto it and make it part of their, health plan. Their fitness, their health, their dietary changes, all of these things. It's one of the most important things you could do is treat your body right, figure your body out, and then do some great things to create strength and stability.
Why do I suddenly have random food sensitivities in my 30s when I never had any issues before? I just discovered that having strawberries have been giving me a rash.
Well, be careful because there are chemicals they spray on strawberries, and there's a whole big issue out about one company. I don't know if it's Driscoll, some problem with their strawberries. So you have to be very careful. You have to eat as organically as you can. But it's interesting. There are people who are very allergic when they're young, and they get to their 20s and 30s, and that changes. They're not allergic to the same things anymore. And vice versa. There are women who are not allergic, get pregnant, and all of a sudden they have allergy. And the same thing, vice versa. Horribly allergic, get pregnant, no more allergy. So it's hard to say when and how or why a body will flip and start to create reactions to some of these things. But from what we know, you can blood test, skin test, and then avoid the food and minimize the potential for the reactions. So I went to the gastroenterologist the other day because, set up the routine tests, the colonoscopy, blah, 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 endoscopy. And a couple of years back, he said, I think you had a couple of things that were pointing towards lactose intolerance. I said, well, yeah, I'm not really sure if that is true with me because I love cheese. I could have milk and cheese and have no problem. And here I am, the guy who tells people, well, it can take a week before you could react to something. But I didn't really have any palpable or obvious issue. And I've tested before for allergy, don't have anything. And my friend and I went out to dinner last night, went to a great ice cream place and had a little bit of ice cream. And all of a sudden, I'm just like, oh my God, my stomach is killing me. I'm like, did this guy just jinx me? Or did I jinx myself? And then I went to the pharmacy, got some Lactaid, got rid of all the problem. I said, wow, my whole life I never had that issue, but my body's changing as we all change over time. And maybe now I've got this reaction to milk and dairy. And I would need to take the Lactaid pill to be able to break it down and prevent the symptoms. So it is what it is.
At least there's the pill.
That's right.
I feel I feel like nobody talks about how much sitting all day affects people.
Well, being sedentary is bad because you're not getting a chance to pump your blood around, burn sugars and fats in your blood, deliver oxygen and nutrients, burn down cholesterol, etc. So sedentary is bad. You won't see any population of people that's okay being sedentary. So that's why I say you've got to do at least a half hour of something every day. If you can do 45 minutes, that's even better. But constantly get out there, move, get the blood flowing, huff and puff, sweat. It's wonderful for your body in every way, in many, many different ways. Great for your bones, great for your organs, great for your circulation, your brain, every part of your body. So that's why we want people to do that every day.
The chat feels that the doctor definitely jinxed you.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. He put it in my head. Now I got to take pills.
I ate oyster stew once, instant bad reaction. Nobody else got sick.
It could be an allergy. I mean, if other people ate it and didn't get sick, then it's not a food poisoning scenario, but you never know. I remember once I was going to Europe years ago, and I went to a restaurant, a good restaurant, and I was leaving on a Wednesday or Thursday for Europe, and I had seafood salad on a Monday.
Never on a Monday.
Never. And I got so sick, it was coming forward and the other way and all over the place. And I had horrible fever and sweat, bad food poisoning, and I couldn't eat, vomiting a lot. Good side of the picture was I lost 15 pounds before I went on my trip. I looked good in all my clothes. I looked sort of European, when I got there. I fit in.
You made it, though.
Yep. I made it work for me.
Oh, my goodness. I've been clenching my jaw and getting tension headaches. This has only happened recently. It's never been an issue in the past. Is stress really enough to cause all of this?
Yeah, probably. Because while you're asleep, if you're going through the stress response, you're clenching your jaw. And sometimes you get headaches and neck pain and other issues around that whole area because you're all wound up. Sometimes people that do exercise, that do meditation, yoga, any number of things to just decrease the stress, that'll sort of dissipate and go away. And there are some people who will use, I don't think you need the bite plate that a person with sleep apnea has to push your jaw forward, but I know people that have used the gummy sort of devices you put to whiten your teeth, but you don't necessarily put the whitening cream in there and just pop them in your mouth when you go to sleep. So you have something that you could have that separates your teeth a little bit so you're not really grinding them down. So for some people that works.
I agree with this. This guy says, why does everything health-related these days come down and turn into politics online? It's amazing that when RFK tries to make everyone healthier, you're automatically a ultra-right conspiracy theorist when you talk about anything that any of these people would have talked about in two years ago.
Right. So the interesting thing in the midst and at the end of all this, we were lied to a great deal over many years about everything. And lied to about how bad red meat is, how bad eggs were, and blah, 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 and cholesterol and all this other stuff, and fat and food pyramids and stuff, because there was an agenda that food manufacturers and that certain interests had. The fact that somebody comes along and says, hey, why should there be red and other colorful food dyes in our food and not in the Europeans' food from the same company? They banned it because they know there are bad side effects. It's brilliant. It's wonderful. The sky's terrific. And, the spraying in the skies, that's real. So people that were told, you're crazy, you're a conspiracy theorist, have been right all along. Even Elon Musk said, was asked about conspiracy theories. He goes, well, explain to me one of them that didn't turn out to be true. And then the host had no answer. So, yeah, we've been lied to heavily over many, many years, especially about medical things. And people that are fighting back wonderfully are allowing us to see the real information, the real knowledge. So I think that's wonderful. We have the right to know reality, not just the agenda of some companies or some people. It should be a battle. Should be proof. Give us proof. You don't have proof that these things are safe, we're not going to take them.
Amen. Can poor sleep actually affect hormones and
Yes.
weight gain that much?
When you go to bed, your body's supposed to get down to deep REM sleep for like 7 hours or so. At that point, you're recharging everything. You're not moving and grooving and using things up. You're just theoretically motionless, and your body's repairing itself. So your neurotransmitters, everything is made, and your hormones are also made, before you wake up in the morning. That's just the way things work. So you want to have that great ultimate time and level of repair happening right then and there, because if you don't sleep well, you don't get that. And people who have sleep apnea have arrhythmias and heart problems, and the list goes on for people who don't sleep well. So you want to get that good, deep REM sleep.
To continue with that, I know people who eat terribly and seem perfectly healthy. Is genetics really that powerful?
No. I mean, there's some genetic component, but sooner or later those people are going to age, and they're going to hit a brick wall. I've seen it. In 40 years of being a physician and looking at all of this, I've seen it. Like, I could eat and I could drink whatever I want. Then all of a sudden, a person's relatively thin, is in the hospital having a heart attack. Well, your blood vessels couldn't handle all that crap. All the smoking and the junk food. So, what are you doing? We know those things are bad. They're bad for reasons. Understand the reasons and don't eat them. Don't be exposed to them. Be smart. Find something else that's healthy for you as a substitute. There are a million things to substitute for the bad foods and the junk foods. Learn about your body. That's why we say come in to get your blood test done. You want to do a telehealth visit with me? You can do that. We do a bunch of them every day. And you may not live anywhere near us, but we can send the blood work to you, get that done, do another telehealth visit, learn about what to eat, what not to eat, exercise, what vitamins to take. We'll set up the vitamin pack for you. There's a lot that we can do, and it's very simple. 1-2 visits.
This is funny. This may be directed towards a therapist. However, why do I always feel more motivated to get healthy at night and then completely lose the interest the next day? Been there.
So it could be that your body's not repairing itself while you sleep, and you're not waking up with good hormone levels. So that's why you're not as inclined to want to do things. And I've seen that because we've tested people early in the morning, and then we've corrected their hormones, and all of a sudden they're just back to wanting to work out. And some work out twice a day because they feel so good with it. So the whole workout thing has the psychology of it, psychological component, and the physical or biochemical component. If your hormones are low, you're not going to want to work out. If they're good and you work out and you feel great, there's the reinforcement of doing the workout. So it has to do with a variety of things, including and especially your hormones.
Khalid Sully in the chat says, my husband went off prednisone, been on for 2 years. His sleep and energy is suffering. Any suggestions to muscle through it?
Well, we got to figure out what's wrong, so it's hard for me to say what could be an underlying issue that would require prednisone for a couple of years, because your body will rely on the prednisone. You will stop making your cortisol, and the drug will make you unaware of the symptom or progression. So you're not really fixing anything by taking prednisone for 2 years. And then when you go off it, your body goes through a rebound and you feel horrible. But I don't know what he's going through in the first place, so I would need to know that. And I don't know what his blood tests look like. I would need to know that. That's why we did the workup we do.
If you want to follow up, I'm in the chat there, Clee Sully. Let me see what else we got. I feel like my attention span is completely shot compared to years ago. Are doctors hearing that more often now? Or is this
Absolutely.
age?
Well, we're hearing it more often because we're all stressed out. And also, as you age, you're losing your ability to make your neurotransmitters, especially NAD, which we talk of as a peptide, but NAD is great for brain function, memory, focus, concentration, mood, and all that comes back as you give your body back what you've always had. There's a great component with IGF-1, Sermorelin we use to correct that, which is great for brain function and word retrieval and focus. Some people are exposed to a lot of heavy metals over time, and they accumulate and they damage your neurotransmitters. So there are certainly a few things that we would want to look at to be able to figure it out.
I think I'm up to date on questions.
Cool.
Just waiting on Clee Sully follow-up, but
We'll give him a few more
if I
minutes.
missed anyone, you just let
So
me know.
website, drcalapai.com. We should have a new website there relatively soon. The new website for the Stem Cell Foundation, thestemcellfoundation.com. Primarily raising funds to treat wounded veterans with traumatic brain injury and post-traumatic stress disorder. Again, I'm not a fundraiser, but if you like what you see, certainly follow through with that. Any donation, obviously, would be greatly appreciated because we're really changing the lives of these guys, which is a wonderful thing to see. And you can see that on the videos on the podcast or on the website.
It's unbelievable hearing these stories. If you get a chance, and you can check out the links are on the website, the Stem Cell Foundation website, but they'll be recordings from this show where he's actually interviewed the people that he's treated, and it is truly unbelievable.
Yeah, if you look at YouTube, you'll be able to see all the archives of our podcasts, and I'm not sure every one of them is on there. We're going to double check that, but you'll be able to see interviews with these guys and see how their lives changed dramatically from it. And you feel so bad for these guys because all they're doing is try to do the right thing for their country and everybody else, and we owe them a great deal of debt and gratitude, and they come back, missing limbs, et cetera, and they've gone to do this job, thankless job. You don't get paid anything, you're not, and for years hadn't been looked upon as great people from other people in society, or, the VA hospitals have been a disaster for so many years. Now things are changing, so this is what we want to do our best for these people.
Amen. Chat saying, just keep teaching us something. You don't need any questions.
Oh, there's so much, I used to say so much useless information rolling around in my head. It's not really useless. It's useful information. So much minutia. Well, yeah. So much trivia. Yeah. So much stuff running around in my head. But that's why I like to do this, because I get all sorts of ideas and things out, and it can make a difference. Big difference for people, so I appreciate that. Okay, so website, drcalapai.com, thestemcellfoundation.com. The office number is 516-794-0404. Thank you for all your calls. Thank you for all your emails to the website. ccmedical503@yahoo.com is the direct email for the website and for reaching us at the office. So we'd love to hear from you. Love questions, anything that you'd like to chat about. We'd love to set you up with appointments. So we're here for you. Thank you so much for listening. Have a glorious weekend. I know it's nice and sunny out. And we'll talk to you soon.